Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the second house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Jupiter's transit through a house will be approximately 1 year. If your house is, say, if it's bigger than average size, then it'll be in there a little bit longer. If it's smaller than average, then it'll be in there for a little bit under a year. So anyway, first thing I look at is what stands out to me is that when Jupiter transits your natal second house, this could be a very fortuitous and fortunate period for things of a monetary nature. You might get that some kind of raise, or you might find maybe that job that pays more money than what you're currently doing. You might make a transition from one job to another and find that the change is very fortuitous, and you can earn a lot more money at this new job. It could be where you might come into some unanticipated funds in some cases. It's also what's also a thing about this transit is that you might money might come perhaps through the expansion of horizons. It might be something where if you feel like your current position or whatever you're working is very maybe is getting tedious and monotonous, and it's just something that's not working for you, it could be a time where you expand your horizons in terms of ways of generating income, which could, and it might turn out where that's very advantageous. Be careful that this is also transit, which could result in extravagance, and you might spend an exorbitant amount of money on things at the same rate that you're getting this money. Money might come a little bit easier during this period, but it could also dissipate and evaporate just as quickly if you're not careful. And I think in some cases, because the second house is connected with possessions, and in very isolated cases, of course, it could border on some kind of maybe I want to say compulsive hoarding, but maybe everything. But in some cases, there might be a very strong propensity to accumulate material possessions, and it's not bad if you're doing it for a right reason and you're trying to like get possessions, maybe for example to be able to sell them later, things that will say that will escalate in value, but not just for the sake of having them. That's obviously not necessarily a good thing. Now, another thing too is that during this transit you could be very more magnanimous and more generous with your money than usual. This could be a time where you have to guard against being spending too much maybe on whoever and whatever during this time. It's nice to be generous to others and help them out, but don't do it at the expense of your own pocketbook, so to speak. So that is something to look at too, as far as the Jupiter transiting your second house. Now, keep in mind that the second house is also associated with self esteem and self worth. So, this could be a time where you might feel a lot better about yourself than usual. If you're a type person, or if your chart suggests you're a rather pessimistic person, or somebody that might be negative to some degree, well, this could be a time where you might surprise people and show people that you're actually have a lot more self assuredness and more confidence connected with yourself and what you can do and whatever your abilities are during this period than usual. And whatever you're doing as far as generating income, you might show a lot more exuberance and enthusiasm connected with it than usual. This could be a time when Jupiter transits your natal second house, that if you're facing some kind of financial dilemma, that you might have a better chance of extricating yourself from it than usual. It could be a time where you can reconcile perhaps those financial difficulties that you might be facing. Perhaps it's more auspicious for, say, maybe getting a loan from your bank, for example. This could be just a general much better period than usual as far as things connected with money, things with resources in general. And really Jupiter transiting your second house can really give you, this is a time where, as far as money goes and things of a monetary nature, you probably have a real positive attitude. And even if at some position where you feel like you're not making a lot of money at this time, this is the time where maybe you feel a lot more optimistic in terms of maybe getting maybe a higher position in doing something in terms of making more money, even if it's at your current workplace. Keep in mind that Jupiter is also associated with higher learning. So this could be something where maybe you can make money through some kind of on-the-job training while you're learning something in some kind of post-high school education, and maybe working in making one of those programs where you're making money simultaneously while you're earning. Or maybe you might apply something you've learned from higher learning into generating income. Jupiter is also associated with publishing. So maybe this period might be a little bit more auspicious and advantageous for, perhaps if you are a writer, for maybe making money through publishing something. Well, anyway, people, it's also important to look at the aspects that are made from this transit, from Jupiter's transit to your second house, that aspects that are made to your natal planets and points from this transit, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting Jupiter in your second house is making a conjunction to your natal Mercury. Well, this might be fortuitous for expanding the mind, and also for expanding the mind and communication. Now, being in the second, perhaps this might result in some monetary gain. Now, another example, let's say that transiting Jupiter is making a sextile or trine to your natal Venus. Well, this could possibly be auspicious for finances and relationships. And being in the second, this could be perhaps tied in to an increase in possessions, as far as material possessions go. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Jupiter transiting the second house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the third house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.